Welcome to Skateboard Stories episode 2. I've been wanting to tell this story for at least 10 years, probably longer. I'm going to title this story, The Best Skater from NYC. I was fortunate enough to have my very first friend from NYC end up being the best skater in New York City. There might be a radder dude now, but at the time, he was the raddest. I was born in Manhattan, but I never kind of claim I'm from New York City. I never liked to play that card, but I did spend most of my teenage years skating in the city. One of the morals of the story before I even get into it is never underestimate the dude sitting next to you or talking to you, because he might turn out to be one, your best friend, two, like the raddest dude you've ever met in your life. Yeah, just keep your mind open because you never know what to expect. And this is a perfect example. So we're at the Brooklyn Banks, and a week before or two, it was a story that Sean Miller and Farmer Crow were in the city, and Farmer Crow, I hope I'm saying your name right, he jumped on board, slid the railing, and no one did it at the time. So if someone did something at the Banks that no one's done before, if you wanted to be good, you did it too. I learned it in my neighborhood, and I kind of mastered it, so I was ready to do it on the 9-step. So anyway, I'm at the top of the 9-step. There's like 20, maybe 30 kids watching on the sides. At the time, it's like if you tried something, sometimes there'd be kids like they're waiting for you to fall so they can laugh at you. So I'm at the top of the rail. I was jumping on, sliding it. There was this kid next to me, and he says, "Yo, dude, you're jumping halfway down the rail. You should jump on higher and get a longer slide." In my brain, I'm like, "Why don't you try it? Like, get out of here, punk." You know, that's what I was thinking. But I did it anyway, just to spite him. You know, I jumped higher, I slid it, and he was like, "That's it, dude." He was kind of like coaching me. You know, it was the first time I was doing it, and I was trying to block out everybody. So I jumped, slid it, and I made it. I was so stoked, and at the bottom of the step, he came running down and was like, "Yeah." And I might have did it one more time, but after I did it, it was like a little wild. There was a lot of commotion. He was like, "You want to get out of here and go get a drink at Burger King?" So I'm like, "Yeah, let's do that." So and I just met this person. We go skate, and as we skate, we went under the bridge towards Burger King. Every single obstacle on the way to Burger King, this guy was like hitting every obstacle. He'd be like, I don't know, maybe manual, come out from under the bridge, and there's a bench. He went up, ollied off, onto the bench. He might have even like ollie airwalked off it. He went off the curb, ollie airwalk. He went off, like ollied up the next curb and went off, ollie like judo. Ollie frigid. And it was just like shredding the way to Burger King. I was a pretty good skater at the time. And I had never seen someone rip so hard. And I was like, "Oh, this guy rips." I didn't even think I knew his name at the time yet. So go get drinks, and then we go back to the Banks. We probably skated some, and then I'm like, "All right, I gotta go home, man." And he was like, "Hey man, you wanna sleep over at my house next week? It's my birthday." So I said, "Cool, let me ask my mom. I'll call you." We traded numbers. I called him back, and I'm like, "Yeah, my mom said it's cool, so I'll meet you on Friday after school." And he's like, "Awesome." I remember my mom gave me a Casio watch to give him, and I was like, "I don't want to give him this Casio watch," but I brought it anyway, and he was stoked actually. And I'm happy that mom told me to give him that watch. We meet at the Banks, and he says to me, "Do you do handrails?" And I said, "Yeah, I do handrails." So he's like, "Let's go to the Gold Rail." It was like a couple of blocks away from the Banks. We get there, and I wanted to show him up. And so, but I went to push towards the rail a little bit too slow, unfortunately. I went up the ollie, and my front truck hit the top of the rail, like ding, slammed on the concrete, like right on my face. And I was like, practically got a concussion. I was like, "Oh my God." So I'm sitting, and he's just like, "Dude, just sit down and chill." And I like look back, and he's like pushing from as far as you can go back, and he's pushing as fast as he can, and he just like slides to the rail and makes it like first try. Like, I'm like, "Sick, dude." I'm just holding my face. Then he goes up, ollie slides it to revert, and then he's like wants more speed. So like I'm like, "Where'd he go?" And he just comes around the building pushing. He's like flying, front side slides it, And I'm like, yeah, dude, I was sick. And then he like goes for one more. I'm like, what's he gonna do now? He goes back from around the building, comes around, front side to revert. And I'm like, sick. And he's like, let's go back to the banks. So I'm like, all right, I think I'm all right. We go to the banks, and I got my backpack, you know, with my clothes, because I'm sleeping over his house. And we get to the banks, and usually you like put your bag on top of the wall so you can like see it when you're skating, you know, so you don't leave at the bottom, because like you're gonna skate the bank away. You don't want to leave your bag here or else it'll get stolen. You know, I just fell on my face now, so I'm probably a little bit out of whack. I put my backpack on top of the bank's wall by the light post, and I go to skate down the bank, and some little kid shoots his board out underneath my board. All of a sudden my board goes this way, my foot falls off, and I do this like medieval split, like my legs go like, and I'm like, oh my god, my groin, I pulled my groin. My cheek is ready to turn into like a black eye. All of a sudden I'm like, dude, I can't even walk. I gotta go home, bro. And he's just like, no way, bro. Like, you're sleeping over my house. And I'm like, bro, I can't even walk. I'm like, and I fell on my face. I'm like, oh shit, dude. I'm hurting, dude. I gotta go home. He's like, no, dude, just sit on your board. I'll push you. I'm like, I don't even know where we're going. It's getting cold. It's getting dark. I'm like, all right, man. So I sit down on my board. He pushes me like five blocks to the train while I'm sitting. He's like carrying me down the steps. And I'm like, oh. Walking down, I sit down. He just pushes me under the turnstile. Whatever he needed to do to get me onto the train, he did. I was like, wow, this guy is freaking cool, man. This is a really kind guy. But then we switched trains somewhere. He lived in Midwood, out by like Avenue I or Avenue J. And I had never been to Brooklyn at the time. And I was like, dude, where are we? But I'm like, I'm hurt, bro. I'm tired. We get to his house and I'm like, salvation. It's like all warm. And he's like, hi mom, this is Manny. And she's like, hi Manny, get washed up, dinner's almost ready. And all I can think was, oh, thank you. I am so hungry. I'm hurting and I'm hungry. He lived in an old school Brooklyn home and there's no shower, I don't think. And so he drew me a bath. You know, the only person who's drew me a bath is like my mom, probably when I was a kid. He's like, clean up, bro. And I'm like, all right. So I'm like in there, like, you know, in the bathtub. And I was like, wow, this is good. It definitely was making me feel better. So I'm in the bathtub, I get cleaned up, I'm like, wow, but I'm still hurting. We eat dinner, and I'll never forget the cauliflower and cheese that his mom made. It was super good, and I was like all filled up, stoked. I go to his bedroom. His bedroom was the smallest room I've ever seen in my life. And at the time, probably to this day actually, it was like his bed, a little space, like a little walk space, and then like a bookshelf with a record player on it, and a couple records. And in that little space, I'm thinking like, all right, I'm gonna sleep in here, you know? And I'm like getting ready to sleep in there. He comes in, and I'm like getting ready to like figure out how I'm gonna sleep in this little zone. And he's just like, no, bro, you sleep on my bed, dude. And I'm like, wow, bro, like you're cool. Like I could sleep. I'm like, where are you gonna sleep? He's like, I'm gonna sleep right here. And I'm like, thanks, bro. Like you don't have to do that. He's like, no, you sleep in my bed. I'm like, oh my god, the coolest guy I've ever met. I'm laying there like, oh yeah. Good night, bro. He's like, let me play you some records. And I'm like, cool, bro. He plays me some records. He played me Shelly Thunder and Supercat, some reggae records. And I was like Shelly Thunder Koof. Wow, dude. Those songs are awesome. You're cool. Pass out. Anyway, I realized he was the kindest person I ever met. He was also the toughest dude. Ask any New York skater. But that guy was Jefferson Pang, and Jeff Pang, New York skater, supreme. Jeff Pang's probably one of the most successful New York skaters that's ever come out of New York City. You know, I'm honored to have that experience. It was such a memorable experience from the day that it actually happened. I didn't have to like remember that experience in hindsight. Jeff was my role model like 3 times into me meeting him, and every time we hung out it was like inspirational. And the skater that I befriended by luck or because I was passionate about what I was doing, I guess.